climb onto the seat. And the carriage under him now was well sprung and built by a master of the trade. "Does everyone have their bets placed?" someone called to the gathered crowd of a dozen or so men who had trailed the 2 young bucks out to the park. Some were afoot, others on horseback, and 1 or 2 were in their own carriages. They all would follow Bray and Waybury down Rotten Row, but at a much slower pace. Bray heard the grumbling rumble of various voices, which he took for a collective yes. He wanted to get this over with. He was through with the night and ready for bed. He gave his head a quick shake and turned his senses to the night and the restless stomp of his horse. He looked over at the man who had agreed to start the race and said, "Step back, pull your weapon, and fire when ready." The pistol shot cracked the air. Bray slapped the horse's rump with the strips of leather, and the carriage took off with a jerk and a rattle. The road seemed bumpier than usual, at times lifting Bray out of the seat as they sped down the lane. He leaned forward, blinking several times to clear his eyes, but the brisk wind and the overindulgence in the brandy had taken their toll. Knowing they were near the end of the lane, Bray glanced over at Waybury. They were staying dead even until Prim's carriage wheel inched dangerously close to Bray's. His hands tightened on the ribbons, but he didn't try to check the gelding. Bray had never been known for his self-restraint. The Viscount grinned excitedly and bore the leather down again on his own horse. Moments later, Waybury had inched ahead of Bray. Determination to win rose up in him. He flicked the reins hard, urging his animal faster. Instantly, thick fog engulfed him, completely blinding him. His heart leapt to his throat. Over the roar in his ears and the rumble of wheels and hooves on hard-packed ground, Bray heard a loud thump, the whinny of a horse, and the chilling sound of wood splintering apart. Alarm shot up his spine. "Prim?" Bray yelled the Viscount's surname and yanked the reins hard and short. The horse nickered in alarm and the curricle shuddered violently, almost throwing him out of his seat. He dropped the ribbons and jumped down before the carriage rolled to a stop. "Prim!" he called again, hoping to discern which way to go in the fog. He heard shouts of other men calling their names. "I'm fine," Bray answered as he combed the greyness for the fallen lord. "Find Waybury." "Over here!" someone shouted. Swirls of fog scattered before Bray as he raced in the direction of the voice. Under a pool of flickering lamplight, he saw the wheel of the curricle slowly spinning in the misty air. At the front of the carriage, and tangled in its rigging, the horse seemed unharmed and was trying to stand. Bray pushed a man aside and knelt down where the Viscount lay on the ground, his dog licking his face and whimpering. Bray reached down to lift him, but the man cried out. "No!" His breath halted and his face contorted in pain. "It hurts like hell. Don't move me." Bray froze when he saw the piece of wood protruding from Waybury's stomach, the dark stain of blood soaking the white brocade of his waistcoat. The realization of what had happened slammed through Bray and caused a rare shock of panic to rip him. "What happened?" "I don't know," Waybury said, his voice ragged, as other men slowly gathered around, whispering among themselves. "Something must have caught in the wheel." "All right, don't worry about that right now," Bray said, trying to process the tragic turn of events. "We'll figure that out later." He looked up at the concerned faces of the other men. "Someone get my carriage over here," he ordered. "My sisters," Waybury managed to say before coughing in pain. "I must get back to my sisters." "You will," Bray answered, wanting to placate the man. "They'll be expecting me home by week's end." "We'll get you there," Bray said, though he was certain that would never happen. "They depend on me, you know." "Yes, I'm sure." "God, it hurts like hell. What did I do to myself?" Waybury struggled to raise his head. "Don't sit up." Bray tried to hold the Viscount still, but the thrashing man managed to lift himself enough with his feet to lower his head and look down at his stomach. A pain-racked laugh that ended in a wounded animal-like groan blew past his lips, and he went limp. Bray's arms tightened under Waybury's shoulders. "Just hold on until the carriage gets here. You'll be fine." Waybury's trembling hand slipped slowly down to his stomach and felt around the wood. He winced.